If you saw me in this dress in the last video, or in the next video, or in the video after that, no, you didn't. And I'm not batch filming all of these intros and outros on the same day. Welcome to isionails. Today we'll be doing swatches and a review of the Cracked Polish Cremes, Crellies, and Jellies collection. I was gifted this collection, but with no obligations to post or make this video, and as always, all opinions are my own. I'm also an affiliate with Cracked Polish, and you can use the code isionails to get 10% off, and that also supports me a little bit. So thank you if you use my code, and thank you if you're going to use my code. This is a beautiful collection. I think it's perfect fall vibes, so let's get to the collection. Laying Bricks is described as a brick red cream. I agree with the description. It's a beautiful red with a neutral undertone. My full hand swatches are more color accurate. As for the formula, it had a very creamy formula. I got really great coverage in one coat, and as I was saying, I really like the undertone on this. I think it's kind of neutral. I don't really have a red quite like this in my collection, especially with like the depth that this has while still being bright and still being neutral. It's a very Goldilocks red kind of shade. I definitely see myself getting wear out of this in the fall, especially as a corporate baddie. Like this feels like grown workplace polish. Up next is Toasty Drip, which is described as a sienna jelly. In the first coat, it's very sheer. It literally just looks like my nails are more stained than usual. But the formula is very self-leveling and it's a very even first coat. On the second coat, I started to build up a lot more coverage and obscure my nail line a little bit more. As for why I consider this polish a sleeper hit, when I saw it in the bottle, I was quite ambivalent. I didn't expect to love it, didn't expect to hate it. But once I built this up in 3 coats and was looking at it in my studio lighting, the shade was calling to me. The squishiness, the rustic burnt orange, fall leaves, Christian girl autumn vibes were just pulling me into fall. But yeah, I was surprised by this shade, the same way I was surprised by Nonconformity, which has quickly become my favorite from last month's collection. Up next is, insert Kendrick Lamar voice, Mustard. It's described as a mustard curly. The formula on this was great. In the first coat, I got super even coverage. Obviously, you can still see through to my nail line, but in 2 coats, it was like pretty much fully obscured for me. As for the color, this is not my cup of tea. It leans a little too prugly for my taste. And when I think of mustard yellow, I think of something with a little more yellow and less brown or green. I think the formula is great, and if you like the shade of yellow, this is a great one to pick up. I also really debated over whether or not I should scream mustard into the mic, but I decided against it. Let me know if that was a correct decision in the comments. Teal Dark and Handsome is described as a rich teal cream. The coverage on this is unbelievable. Like, I'm almost speechless. You can definitely wear this in 1 coat. I ended up doing 2 coats because for me, it's like a psychological comfort to have 2 coats of polish on my nails. But as you can see, applying the second coat did not make an ounce of difference. I didn't have this polish on my nails long enough to see if it would stain, but just basing it off of how my cuticles were looking, I think this has a tendency to stain. It's a very dark color, but as you can see in my bright studio lights, you can tell it's teal. In indirect lighting, not so much. Slated to Paint is described as a slate gray cream. I do not see this as gray, I see it as blue, and undeniable evidence of the fact that this is blue is the fact that I actually like this polish. I don't really find myself drawn to gray polishes. There are definitely exceptions, but for the most part, I don't like grays. On the other hand, blue is a color I love very much, and I really like this shade. I see myself wearing this more in the winter than in the fall, but yeah, it's a great shade. Has the same amazing formula as the red and the teal, where it's just unbelievable coverage without being too thick of a formula. I really, really like this polish, and this is it in 2 coats. Eggplant emoji is described as a rich, deep purple crelly. To me, this is functionally a cream because, as you can see on the first coat, it definitely has a crelly-like formula, but by the second coat, it was so full coverage, that functionally I think it's a cream. The only difference is that maybe I could see a slight glassiness, almost juiciness in this shade versus an equivalent purple cream, but I would just say this is a very full coverage polish. I really liked it. I like cool toned purples, especially as someone that doesn't really like purple. And I really like how this looked in my studio lighting. It just felt very Halloween. It felt very, I could also see myself wearing this in the winter as well. And in the dark, it looks black, which is why I don't love dark polishes. I'm Shy is described as a pale baby pink crelly. I struggled on this first coat. It's definitely user error because I'm a chronic overworker of polish. You will never see me do 3 lines straight down my nails and give it up. But even with the struggle that I had, it's definitely a little patchy, but for the most part, it's self-leveled over time. Like if you watch the index finger over the period of the swatches, it self-levels and like you don't see my brush strokes from overworking it as much. On the second coat, I got pretty good coverage. I think some people can definitely pull this off in 2 coats, but I personally wouldn't wear it in 2 coats. On the third coat, now we're cooking with gas. I really like this polish. I hate white. I hate stark white. Off-white gets a pass sometimes, but when I want a really bright palette cleanser, it's something that is not easy to find. I found that the squishiness in this, plus the really super white base, helped with this being a neutral that I can see myself gravitating towards. As I was finishing up my swatch, I dinged my middle finger and had to go over it again, so my middle finger actually has 4 coats. But yeah, I think this is really, really pretty. It's not as stark as white, but it still gives that fresh, clean feeling. And in the indirect light, the pink is very washed out, but you can see it in real life. Last but not least, liquid smoke is described as a smoky brown jelly. This also had a great formula. In the first coat, I got very even coverage. Obviously, you can still see through to my nail line. I ended up wearing this in 3 coats, and they were 3 very easy coats. I really didn't have any issues with this polish. I think the shade of brown is nice. It looks cool to me, and like cool as in cool versus warm, not cool as in like rad. But this polish was interesting. I don't have a color like this in my collection, and it's not something I would choose for myself, but seeing it on, I enjoyed it. I don't see myself reaching for it this fall, but maybe when I grow up, I will choose this shade. My original outro was deleted, so enjoy these clips of my faves from the collection while I talk about my overall thoughts. So overall, I really love this collection. The color story is perfect for fall, and even though I'm not a fall girly, I still see myself wearing these shades. The formulas are incredible. I'm not exaggerating when I say my jaw literally dropped the first time I put on Teal Dark and Handsome. As for my favorites from the collection, it's definitely Laying Bricks, Toasty Drip, and what's showing here right now, I'm Shy. They all mix great formulas with colors that I feel like are unique to my collection, and I see myself getting a ton of wear out of these. Remember to use my code isionails for 10% off if you're picking any of these up, and thanks so much for watching and have a lovely day.